100 Things Successful People Do. This video is based on key insights from the book 100 Things Successful People Do by Nigel Cumberland. Introduction. Nigel Cumberland begins by exploring what success truly means, emphasizing it's not a one-size-fits-all idea. He points out that what one person considers a win, another might avoid completely, like someone loving to cook while their friend dislikes it. Cumberland believes a successful life isn't about achieving one big thing, but consistently working towards many different goals, big and small. He encourages readers to immediately brainstorm their own definitions of success, offering examples like getting a promotion, losing weight, or simply finding peace. He stresses not to overthink it, letting ideas flow freely, acknowledging that these goals will likely evolve over time as new opportunities and desires emerge. Cumberland introduces his book as a guide to achieving these varied goals, covering areas like work, relationships, health, and finances. He explains that each of the 100 chapters will present a new idea, followed by practical exercises designed to build the right mindset and habits. He highlights a key difference between those who simply wish for success and those who achieve it. Successful people actively work on developing these habits and programming their mental software. He suggests readers shouldn't feel pressured to tackle everything at once, but rather to focus on what's relevant to their current life situation and revisit other ideas later. The author establishes his credibility by sharing his own journey. Cumberland explains that his insights come from over 15 years of coaching people from all over the world. He emphasizes that he hasn't just told people what to do, but has also lived these principles himself, learning from both successes and failures. He shares personal achievements, including a happy marriage and family, a successful career in finance, extensive travel, building and selling a company, becoming an author, and establishing his coaching practice. However, he notes that finding inner peace and contentment is perhaps his greatest accomplishment. Cumberland subtly points out what successful people don't do. They don't passively wait for things to happen. They actively cultivate habits, learn from mistakes, and consistently work towards their goals. He contrasts this with those who might have good ideas, but don't follow through with action. He also implies that successful people aren't afraid to adjust their goals as they grow and learn. They understand that the path to success isn't always straight, and they're willing to embrace change. Ultimately, Cumberland wishes his readers luck and expresses confidence that the book's ideas will help them create a fulfilling and successful life. The 100 Things Successful People Do. Nigel Cumberland believes that living a better life comes from chasing what you truly love. He points out that successful people aren't just lucky, they're driven by dreams. These dreams aren't just wishes, but powerful motivators that push people to take risks, change their lives, and believe in what seems impossible. Cumberland explains that behind every success story, there's a fulfilled dream, whether it's something from childhood or a later ambition. He shares his own experience of following others' advice and studying economics instead of geography, a choice he later regretted, showing how easily we can stray from our own paths. He emphasizes that successful people stay true to their passions and aren't afraid to make unconventional choices, like Steve Jobs leaving university to pursue his vision. Cumberland encourages readers to actively identify their own dreams. He suggests making a list using words, drawings, and pictures to uncover hidden desires. He provides helpful questions to spark self-reflection, like remembering childhood passions, imagining a life without financial worries, identifying enjoyable activities, and even noticing what aspects of others' lives spark envy. It's about digging deep to understand what truly matters. However, Cumberland warns that believing in your dreams isn't always easy. Our minds often throw up negative thoughts: I'm too old, it's too late, my family won't approve. He stresses that successful people acknowledge these doubts but push forward anyway, finding the courage to start despite the obstacles. He assures readers that the remaining chapters of his book will provide tools to overcome these fears. He also suggests getting support from loved ones and aligning dreams with theirs for a stronger chance of success. Moving on, Cumberland highlights the importance of humility and asking for help. He uses a quote about laughing at yourself, explaining that admitting you don't know something takes courage and shows you're not taking yourself too seriously. He observes that many people pretend to have all the answers, creating unnecessary pressure. He argues that being honest about your limitations actually attracts support from others. He emphasizes the value of being open to different perspectives and admitting when you're wrong, rather than stubbornly clinging to outdated beliefs. He suggests that life is unpredictable and no one can be right all the time. Cumberland then shifts focus to taking control of your future. He argues that successful people don't rely on luck. They actively create their own opportunities through hard work and preparation. He cautions against giving up on influencing your future, blaming bad luck or others for your circumstances. He uses Winston Churchill as an example of someone who overcame adversity to achieve greatness. He stresses the importance of a positive mindset and believing you are the master of your fate. He advises sharing your dreams carefully, as some people may be cynical or discouraging. Instead, seek out supportive environments and people who believe in your vision. He suggests reframing negative thoughts and looking for the positive side of challenging situations. Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the power of emotional intelligence. He explains that losing control of your emotions can hinder success, citing examples of outbursts and negativity. He defines emotional intelligence as the foundation for healthy relationships and a fulfilling life. He stresses the importance of empathy, understanding, and sharing the feelings of others, and keeping your emotions in check. He suggests pausing before reacting, practicing empathy, and learning to laugh at yourself. He concludes by encouraging readers to act differently from the majority, recognizing that success often requires going against the grain and turning work into something enjoyable. He suggests starting each day with positive habits to set the tone for success. Nigel Cumberland believes that success isn't just about luck, it's about habits. He's noticed patterns in how successful people act and things they avoid doing. It's like they have a secret playbook, and he wants to share it. One big thing Cumberland points out is that successful people aren't afraid to make friends with their past. Many of us carry around regrets or painful memories, letting them hold us back. Cumberland explains that you can't change what happened, but you can change how you think about it. For example, maybe you didn't get a job you really wanted. Instead of dwelling on the rejection, a successful person would try to learn from it. What could they have done better? Or maybe they realized the job wasn't a good fit anyway. It's about turning a negative into a lesson. He shares a story about a friend who cut off contact with his children after a divorce, pretending he was okay with it. Eventually, he realized he was hurting and reconnected with them. Cumberland stresses that even if you think your past doesn't bother you, it might be affecting you without you realizing it. He warns against only remembering the bad parts and forgetting the good. Cumberland also emphasizes the importance of taking breaks. It seems simple, but many people don't do it. He mentions a statistic that half of people in the UK don't use all their vacation time, and many even work while on holiday. This can lead to burnout, which is when you're completely exhausted and stressed. Cumberland himself experienced this when he was a finance director in Hong Kong, working long hours without rest. He had to resign because he was so overwhelmed. He uses the analogy of sharpening a saw. If you're constantly sawing wood without sharpening the blade, it becomes dull and useless. Taking breaks, even small ones, helps you stay focused and productive. He suggests the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes then take a 5-minute break. Another key idea from Cumberland is the need to be a lifelong learner. He quotes Albert Einstein, saying that once you stop learning, you start to decline. It's not just about formal education. It's about having a mindset of curiosity and openness. Successful people are always looking for new information and ways to improve. Cumberland uses the example of updating your opinions about people. It's easier to learn how to use a new TV than it is to change your mind about someone you've known for a long time, but it's just as important. He encourages readers to ask themselves what they learned each day and to identify areas where they need to grow. Cumberland also highlights the power of trusting your gut feeling. He describes it as that inner voice that tells you something feels right or wrong. It's different from logical thinking, but it can be incredibly valuable. He gives examples like feeling uncomfortable around someone or having a hunch about a situation. Successful people learn to balance logic and intuition. He points to Bill Gates as someone who relies on both. Cumberland suggests practicing being still and listening to yourself, perhaps through meditation, to better connect with your intuition. Finally, Cumberland stresses the importance of managing stress. He describes it as the trash of modern life that can pile up and ruin your happiness. He lists common symptoms of stress, like fatigue, headaches, and irritability. He explains that it's important to address the root causes of stress, not just the symptoms. This might involve making difficult choices, like leaving a stressful job or ending a toxic relationship. He also emphasizes the value of being likable, but not at the expense of your own values. He suggests asking friends for honest feedback on how to improve your approachability and being willing to show tough love when necessary. He concludes by encouraging readers to say yes to opportunities, even if they're scary, and to ask themselves if they'll regret saying no. He believes that saying yes opens doors to new experiences and growth. Nigel Cumberland believes that success isn't just about being smart or lucky. It's about the everyday choices people make. He noticed patterns in the lives of those who achieve their goals and also in those who struggle. One big thing Cumberland emphasizes is the importance of saying no. It's easy to want to please everyone, but constantly saying yes when you really mean no can be harmful. It's like spreading yourself too thin. You end up not doing anything well and feeling drained. He uses the example of small choices, like where to eat, but points out that it becomes a bigger problem with life-altering decisions. If you go along with something you don't truly want, you might regret it later. Cumberland stresses that you can't make everyone happy all the time, and trying to do so often means sacrificing your own happiness. The author then shifts to the idea of giving back. Cumberland highlights that true success isn't just about personal gain, but about helping others succeed too. He quotes Winston Churchill, explaining that making a living is about what you get, but making a life is about what you give. This doesn't necessarily mean donating large sums of money. It can be as simple as volunteering time at a local shelter or helping a neighbor. Cumberland explains that giving unconditionally is rewarding and can make you feel empowered. He points out that volunteering can also be humbling, reminding people that things like job titles aren't important when you're simply helping others. Cumberland then dives into the importance of focusing on what you can control. He explains that worrying about things you can't change is a waste of energy. He often helps people sort through their problems, identifying what they can actually influence and what they need to accept. He uses the example of complaining about the weather or what others think of you. These are things you can't change, so it's better to focus on your own actions and reactions. Cumberland references Saint Francis of Assisi, suggesting that wisdom lies in knowing the difference between what you can and cannot control. He also cautions against blaming others for your problems, emphasizing that you are ultimately responsible for your own choices. The author then addresses financial well-being. Cumberland points out some concerning statistics about debt and savings in the UK, but clarifies that financial success isn't about being rich. It's about having the ability to create wealth and achieve your goals. He stresses the importance of financial planning and setting goals, and warns against borrowing money you can't repay. Cumberland suggests setting financial goals and deferring consumption, meaning saving instead of spending impulsively. He uses the example of Calvin Coolidge, who believed that living within your means is a sign of dignity and independence. Cumberland then discusses the impact of technology. He acknowledges that the internet is a powerful tool, but warns against spending too much time online. He cites studies linking excessive internet use to mental health problems and a disconnect from reality. He encourages readers to disconnect regularly, to experience the world around them without the distraction of screens. He suggests simple things like leaving your phone in your pocket during conversations or having entire days without internet access. The author then emphasizes the importance of focus. Cumberland explains that successful people don't try to do too many things at once. They concentrate on one goal at a time. He uses the examples of J.K. Rowling, Mo Farah, and Steve Jobs, all of whom demonstrated single-minded dedication to their pursuits. He cautions against multitasking, arguing that it's more effective to give each task your full attention. Cumberland suggests setting an example by focusing on one thing at a time and learning to say no to requests that will spread you too thin. Finally, Cumberland highlights the power of love. He distinguishes between momentary love, things like infatuation and material desires, and sustainable love, the kind of love found in meaningful relationships. He argues that sustainable love is the key to a truly successful life. He emphasizes the importance of self-love, explaining that you must accept and forgive yourself before you can truly love others. Cumberland encourages readers to shift their focus from fleeting pleasures to building strong, lasting relationships. Nigel Cumberland believes that success isn't about luck, it's about habits. He's noticed patterns in how people who achieve their goals behave and how those who struggle differ. It's not about being naturally gifted, but about consistently doing certain things and avoiding others. Cumberland emphasizes that successful people aren't necessarily smarter or more talented, they just operate differently. One key difference Cumberland points out is how successful people handle their time. They don't just react to what happens, they proactively plan and prioritize. Think of it like building with Legos. You wouldn't just start sticking bricks together randomly, you'd follow a plan. Successful people set clear goals and break them down into smaller, manageable steps. They also understand the importance of saying no to things that don't align with their goals. It's about protecting your time and energy for what truly matters. Someone aiming to be a doctor, for example, might politely decline an invitation to a late-night movie to focus on studying. Cumberland also highlights the importance of continuous learning. Successful people aren't afraid to admit what they don't know. In fact, they actively seek out new knowledge and skills. They read books, take courses, attend workshops, and learn from others. It's like upgrading your phone. You want the latest software to make it run better. They view learning not as a chore, but as an investment in themselves. A budding artist might take online classes to improve their painting technique, or a future entrepreneur might read biographies of successful business leaders. Another crucial habit is resilience. Cumberland notes that setbacks are inevitable, but successful people don't let them derail them. They view failures as learning opportunities, analyzing what went wrong and adjusting their approach. It's like a scientist conducting an experiment. If it doesn't work the first time, they don't give up, they refine their method and try again. They possess a growth mindset, believing that their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. A student who fails a test doesn't see it as proof of their inadequacy, but as a signal to study harder and try a different learning strategy. Cumberland also points out that successful people are often very focused. They aren't easily distracted by social media, gossip, or other time wasters. They can concentrate on the task at hand and block out external noise. It's like a laser beam, focused and powerful. They understand the power of deep work, dedicating uninterrupted time to their most important tasks. A writer, for instance, might turn off their phone and close all unnecessary tabs on their computer to fully immerse themselves in their writing. Conversely, Cumberland identifies habits that hinder success. Procrastination is a major one. Putting things off until the last minute creates stress and reduces the quality of work. It's like waiting until the night before an exam to start studying. You're likely to feel overwhelmed and perform poorly. Successful people tackle tasks head-on, breaking them down into smaller steps to make them less daunting. Another detrimental habit is negativity. Cumberland observes that successful people tend to be optimistic and focus on solutions, while those who struggle dwell on problems. It's like looking at a glass, half full versus half empty. A positive attitude fosters creativity, resilience, and motivation. Someone facing a challenge might say, "Okay, this is tough, but what can I do to overcome it?" Instead of "this is impossible, I'm going to fail." Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the importance of taking responsibility. Successful people don't blame others for their failures. They own their mistakes and learn from them. It's about accountability and taking control of your own destiny. A team member who makes an error doesn't point fingers, but admits their mistake and works to fix it. Cumberland's overall message is empowering. Success isn't reserved for a select few, it's within reach for anyone willing to adopt the right habits. Nigel Cumberland believes success isn't just about being smart or lucky, it's about the habits you build. He points out that truly successful people understand the importance of connecting with others, and that starts with really listening. Cumberland explains that listening isn't just waiting for your turn to talk, it's giving someone your full attention. He uses a quote by Rachel Naomi Remen to show how powerful simply listening can be. It's one of the most valuable gifts you can give. He notes that building rapport, or a comfortable understanding between people, is key to getting others to follow, work with, and believe in you. Cumberland even suggests women often naturally excel at this, as they tend to speak slower, listen more, and show empathy. He advises men to consciously work on these skills. Importantly, Cumberland stresses you don't need to force rapport with everyone, but it's worth the effort with those you interact with regularly to avoid appearing cold or dismissive. Cumberland emphasizes that finding common ground is a foundation for strong relationships. Successful people take the time to understand what others think, expect, and believe, looking for shared interests or goals. He cautions against pretending to like something just to please someone, stressing the importance of authenticity. He then introduces the idea of mirroring, a powerful technique where you subtly match another person's body language. If they're leaning forward, you lean forward too. This happens on an unconscious level and helps build comfort and trust. Cumberland encourages readers to try this immediately. He also highlights the importance of being a good listener, speaking calmly, and avoiding self-centeredness, all of which make you more approachable. Moving on, Cumberland discusses mindfulness, explaining it as simply being aware of the present moment without wishing things were different. He points to its growing use in unexpected places, like prisons to help manage violent impulses, and in businesses to reduce employee stress. He explains that mindfulness is about letting go of worries about the past or anxieties about the future, and instead focusing on what's happening right now. He uses the cliché of stopping to smell the roses to illustrate this idea. Cumberland suggests practicing meditation to quiet the mind and learn to observe thoughts without getting carried away by them. He also encourages slowing down and appreciating small moments, like enjoying a meal without worrying about the cost or the dishes. Cumberland then tackles the tricky topic of compromise. He acknowledges that win-win solutions are often just compromises where everyone gives up something. He argues that compromise is essential for maintaining important relationships, even when it involves difficult decisions about life goals. He uses the example of a leader offered a promotion requiring relocation, but whose family is settled elsewhere. Cumberland stresses that compromise isn't about losing, but about prioritizing relationships. He advises being honest about your motivations, flexible in finding solutions, and willing to learn. However, he also emphasizes knowing when to stand firm, particularly when your core values or ethics are at stake. The author then shifts focus to defining yourself beyond your job. He notes how often people ask, "What do you do?" and how that can box you into a single identity. Cumberland encourages readers to think about what they want to be known for, beyond their career. He emphasizes that work is just one part of a fulfilling life, and success shouldn't be limited to professional achievements. He suggests defining your priorities and crafting a story about yourself that reflects those priorities, rather than just a job title. Finally, Cumberland explores the importance of self-awareness. He uses the analogy of blind spots in a car to illustrate how we can be unaware of our own personality traits. He recommends asking others for feedback and even taking personality tests to gain a better understanding of yourself. He believes that knowing your strengths and weaknesses allows you to maximize the former and manage the latter. He cautions against letting weaknesses undermine you and encourages recognizing situations where extra effort is needed. He concludes by emphasizing the value of embracing change and not letting age limit your aspirations. Nigel Cumberland believes that understanding what successful people do differently is key to achieving your own goals. He points out that success isn't about luck, but about habits and choices. One big thing successful people do is focus on results, not just being busy. Many people spend their days doing tasks, but don't actually achieve much. Cumberland suggests asking yourself at the end of the day, what did I actually accomplish? Instead of just listing what you did. For example, someone might spend 8 hours answering emails, but a more successful approach would be to prioritize tasks and focus on the emails that truly move projects forward. The author emphasizes that successful people are proactive, not reactive. They don't just respond to whatever happens. They plan and take action to create the outcomes they want. Cumberland uses the example of a student preparing for an exam. A reactive student might cram the night before, hoping to get by. A proactive student will study consistently over time, ensuring they understand the material and feel confident. This also applies to work. Successful people anticipate challenges and prepare for them, rather than being caught off guard. Cumberland notes that successful individuals are excellent learners. They don't assume they already know everything, but are always seeking new knowledge and skills. He suggests reading widely, taking courses, and learning from others. He also points out that learning isn't just about formal education. It's about being open to new ideas and perspectives. For instance, a business owner might learn valuable lessons from observing how a competitor operates, or from talking to customers about their needs. A crucial habit of successful people, according to Cumberland, is taking responsibility for their lives. They don't blame others for their failures or circumstances. Instead, they own their mistakes and learn from them. He illustrates this with the example of someone who loses a job. A person who avoids responsibility might blame the company or the economy. A responsible person will analyze what they could have done differently and use that knowledge to improve their chances of success in the future. The author also highlights that successful people are resilient. They don't give up easily when faced with setbacks. They view failures as learning opportunities and keep moving forward. Cumberland uses the analogy of a scientist conducting experiments. Not every experiment will succeed, but the scientist learns from each failure and uses that knowledge to refine their approach. This persistence is vital for achieving long-term goals. Cumberland also discusses what successful people don't do. They don't procrastinate, meaning they don't put things off until the last minute. They understand the importance of time management and prioritize tasks effectively. They also don't get bogged down in negativity. Successful people surround themselves with positive influences and focus on solutions, rather than dwelling on problems. He explains that constantly complaining or focusing on what's wrong can drain energy and hinder progress. Finally, Cumberland stresses that successful people are focused and disciplined. They set clear goals and work consistently towards achieving them. They avoid distractions and stay committed to their priorities. He uses the example of an athlete training for a competition. The athlete doesn't just show up on competition day. They follow a rigorous training schedule and make sacrifices to achieve their peak performance. This level of dedication is essential for success in any field. Nigel Cumberland believes that successful people share certain habits and avoid others. He emphasizes that self-acceptance is key, starting with loving and forgiving yourself. Cumberland points out that it's easy to be hard on ourselves, dwelling on past mistakes or feeling inadequate when comparing ourselves to others. He notes that modern life, with its constant stream of perfect images in advertising and on social media, makes this comparison even harder. He used the example of someone realizing they were underpaid, but reminded them to focus on enjoying their job and the ability to seek better pay if desired. Cumberland explains that negative self-talk doesn't just affect us. It spills over into our interactions with others, leading to jealousy, criticism, and unhappiness, traits not commonly found in successful individuals. Cumberland stresses the importance of recognizing your own uniqueness. He argues that trying to be a copy of someone else is a waste of time and energy. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and beating yourself up over imperfections is counterproductive. Instead, he suggests focusing on gratitude for what you do have. He encourages readers to actively avoid comparing themselves to others, recognizing that there will always be someone who appears to have more or be better. He illustrates this with the idea that someone will always seem richer, happier, or more attractive, so chasing that ideal is a losing battle. The author then dives into the power of thoughts, quoting Henry David Thoreau to explain how repeated thoughts create pathways in our minds. Cumberland explains that our thoughts directly influence our reality. He uses the example of someone starting a new job and worrying about what their colleagues will think. This anxiety can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the person acts awkwardly and confirms their fears. He emphasizes that believing in your success or failure makes it more likely to happen. Cumberland advises consciously choosing positive thoughts, acknowledging negative ones, and then replacing them with helpful mantras or focusing on desired outcomes. For instance, before a difficult conversation, visualize a positive outcome instead of dwelling on potential problems. Cumberland highlights the value of remembering people and building connections. He points out that politicians like George Osborne and Bill Clinton are known for their ability to recall details about individuals, making people feel valued. While some have natural memories, he believes anyone can improve by keeping a notebook with names and personal details. He also notes the limits of our social circles, referencing psychologist Robin Dunbar's suggestion that we can comfortably maintain around 150 friendships. Cumberland suggests actively listening in conversations, asking questions, and showing genuine interest in others. He also recommends following up with people, using a directory or database to remember important details like birthdays or children's names. The author then explores the driving forces behind our behavior, suggesting that many actions stem from childhood needs. He explains that these needs, like a desire for attention or approval, can be hidden but still influence our choices. Cumberland uses examples of siblings, the eldest striving for excellence, the youngest seeking support, and others driven by past experiences like poverty. He warns that these childhood drivers can become unhealthy if they consume our lives, preventing us from reaching our full potential. He encourages readers to identify their own drivers, understand their origins, and consciously choose to change them if necessary, breaking negative patterns. Cumberland emphasizes the importance of gratitude, quoting Zig Ziglar. He argues that constantly wanting more prevents us from appreciating what we already have. He discourages comparing ourselves to others, stating that such competition is endless and unsatisfying. Instead, he suggests focusing on the positive aspects of our own lives and recognizing that we already possess everything we need. He encourages readers to be happy for others' successes, as this fosters positivity and attracts good things in return. He uses the metaphor of a glass, focusing on filling it rather than lamenting the empty space. The author then addresses the significance of a healthy relationship with our parents. Cumberland believes that peace with our parents is essential for overall well-being. He acknowledges that parenting is difficult and encourages forgiveness for past mistakes. He suggests that parents can be valuable mentors and advisors, offering insights into our patterns of behavior. He advises clearing the air by addressing unresolved issues and prioritizing spending quality time with parents, listening to their perspectives, and offering support. Finally, Cumberland champions the power of laughter. He explains that laughter has numerous health benefits, including reduced stress, increased endorphins, and a stronger immune system. He also points out that laughter is contagious and creates a sense of connection. He encourages readers to actively seek out humor, lighten up, and be a source of positivity for others, even in difficult situations. He suggests practicing smiling and finding ways to inject fun into everyday life. Nigel Cumberland believes that successful people share certain habits and avoid others. He emphasizes the importance of being unique, rather than trying to copy others. Cumberland points out that everyone is different, even twins, and what makes one person happy might not work for someone else. He uses the words of Jason Mason to remind us that we are all born originals and shouldn't try to be copies. While fitting in is sometimes necessary, especially in school or at work, it's also important to stand out and be true to yourself, even if it means going against the grain. Cumberland references Sting's message of being yourself no matter what others say, and highlights that successful people often do just that, balancing fitting in with expressing their individuality. Cumberland then turns to the topic of sleep, quoting Dr. Raphael Pelliot's observation that humans uniquely delay sleep despite feeling tired. He explains that sleep deprivation has many negative effects, from making you grumpy and less focused to seriously damaging your health by weakening your immune system and increasing the risk of illness. He cautions against trying to catch up on sleep during weekends, as this can disrupt your body's natural rhythm. Instead, Cumberland suggests creating a relaxing bedtime routine, avoiding stressful activities like checking emails before bed, and making sure your sleeping environment is dark and quiet. The author stresses that disappointing people is a natural part of living authentically. He acknowledges that people will often offer advice, but that doesn't mean you should always follow it. Cumberland explains that well-intentioned guidance is often based on others' experiences, not your own. He encourages readers to be brave enough to ignore advice, even from loved ones, if it doesn't feel right. He acknowledges that this can be difficult and may offend people, but those who truly care for you will eventually understand and accept your choices. Cumberland quotes Dr. Seuss, reminding us that those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. He advises acknowledging any guilt you feel, explaining your decisions to others, and learning from the situation. Cumberland then advocates for simplicity in a world that often values busyness. He points out that many people fill their lives with unnecessary commitments and activities, creating complexity where it isn't needed. He suggests adopting the keep it simple, stupid principle, being honest about your commitments, and decluttering your life. He encourages readers to prioritize experiences over material possessions, citing research that shows experiences bring more lasting happiness. He suggests focusing on participating in activities and enjoying moments, rather than constantly documenting them with photos. Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the importance of taking action and setting clear goals. He argues that procrastination is a major obstacle to success and encourages readers to ask themselves what they will lose by delaying a task. He suggests breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps and being honest with yourself about what's holding you back. He also stresses the importance of writing down your goals, as this increases your chances of achieving them. Cumberland encourages readers to create a goals journal and to regularly review and update their plans. Nigel Cumberland believes that success isn't just about what you do, but also what you don't do. He's noticed patterns in the habits of people who thrive and those who struggle. It's not about being perfect, but about making smart choices about how you spend your time and energy. Successful people, Cumberland explains, are very good at saying no to things that don't align with their goals. They understand that every yes means a no to something else, and they're careful about what they commit to. For example, someone aiming to start a business might politely decline extra social events to focus on planning and building their company. Cumberland points out that successful individuals rarely get caught up in complaining or negativity. They acknowledge challenges, but they don't dwell on them. Instead, they focus on finding solutions and moving forward. Think of a basketball team that misses a shot. They don't spend the whole game talking about the missed shot. They quickly refocus and prepare for the next play. Similarly, successful people don't waste time blaming others or feeling sorry for themselves. They take responsibility for their actions and learn from their mistakes. The author emphasizes that successful people are consistent. They don't rely on motivation, they build habits. They show up and do the work, even when they don't feel like it. It's like practicing a musical instrument. You don't only practice when you're inspired, you practice regularly to improve your skill. Cumberland notes that they also prioritize self-care, understanding that their physical and mental well-being are essential for sustained success. This isn't selfish, it's strategic. A burnt-out person can't perform at their best. Cumberland also highlights that successful people aren't afraid to ask for help. They recognize their limitations and seek guidance from others. They build strong networks and surround themselves with people who support and challenge them. It's like a detective solving a case. They often need to consult with experts and gather information from various sources. They also don't get discouraged by failure. They view setbacks as learning opportunities and use them to refine their approach. Finally, Cumberland observes that successful people are lifelong learners. They're curious and constantly seeking new knowledge and skills. They read books, attend workshops, and engage in conversations with people from diverse backgrounds. They understand that the world is constantly changing, and they need to adapt to stay ahead. It's like a computer that receives regular software updates. It stays current and performs optimally. They don't believe they have all the answers, and they're always open to new perspectives. Nigel Cumberland believes that successful people share certain habits and avoid others. He emphasizes the importance of choosing your friends carefully, as they significantly impact your life. Cumberland explains that friends can either help you grow or hold you back, much like the saying, "We are our 5 best friends," suggests. He points to research showing that being around strong-willed friends can boost your self-control, while hanging out with people who make poor choices can drag you down. Cumberland advises his coaching clients to reflect on their friendships, both past and present, to understand themselves better. He stresses the value of surrounding yourself with friends who inspire you, support your growth, and remain loyal. Cumberland encourages readers to be brave enough to distance themselves from people who cause them pain, belittle them, or exhibit selfish behavior. He notes that you don't need to justify these decisions and acknowledges that it can be challenging, especially within a group of mutual friends. Remaining true to yourself and being honest about your feelings is key, according to Cumberland. He also reminds us to cherish the friends who stick by us through life's major events, as these are the ones who truly matter. The author then shifts focus to the power of curiosity, quoting Walt Disney's belief that curiosity drives us to explore new paths. Cumberland explains that curiosity involves asking questions, being open-minded, and avoiding quick judgments. He suggests that our natural curiosity can be stifled by schooling and parenting, but it's essential to rekindle it for success. He provides examples of questions curious people ask, such as how to simplify a process or solve a problem in a new way. Cumberland urges readers to become expert questioners, emphasizing that taking time to develop thoughtful questions leads to better answers than simply searching online. He also suggests viewing boredom as an opportunity to re-engage with your surroundings and find something to learn from. He encourages observing others and seeking ways to make discussions more interesting. Integrity is another cornerstone of success, according to Cumberland. He highlights the prevalence of lying in everyday conversations and warns against the temptation to take shortcuts or cheat. Cumberland explains that while small lies might seem harmless, they erode trust and can have serious consequences. He uses the analogy of building a house without foundations to illustrate that success achieved through dishonesty is ultimately unsustainable. Cumberland advises readers to stop deceiving themselves and to be mindful of the consequences of their actions. He stresses the importance of honesty in all relationships, particularly with loved ones. He also suggests that teaching others what you know is a great way to solidify your own understanding. Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the importance of continuous learning and becoming an expert in something. He believes that everyone has areas of expertise, even if they are negative habits. He encourages readers to focus their energy on developing skills and knowledge that they are proud of. Cumberland highlights the value of deliberate practice, seeking feedback, and learning from mistakes. He concludes by suggesting that sharing your expertise with others can deepen your own understanding and mastery. Nigel Cumberland shares insights into what sets successful people apart, focusing on habits they embrace and avoid. He begins by highlighting the importance of owning up to mistakes. Cumberland explains that truly mature and wise individuals readily admit when they're wrong, learn from those errors, and actively work to fix them. He contrasts this with those who deflect blame, a behavior he sees as stemming from a lack of empathy and stubborn pride. Apologizing isn't a sign of weakness, Cumberland insists, but a liberating act that removes guilt and strengthens relationships. He emphasizes that a genuine apology must be followed by actions to make things right, like offering compensation or changing future behavior. Simply saying, "I'm sorry," isn't enough. Demonstrating remorse through deeds is crucial. Cumberland then shifts focus to the value of maintaining friendships. Drawing on a Native American proverb about not letting the path of friendship grow over, he stresses the importance of actively nurturing connections. He points out that long-lasting friendships provide a strong foundation in life, offering support, shared memories, and a sense of belonging. These friends can act as mentors and advisors, offering valuable perspective based on a shared history and trust. Cumberland encourages readers to reconnect with old friends, acknowledging that sometimes those connections may have naturally faded, and that's okay too. The author then discusses the power of perspective, urging readers to avoid sweating the small stuff. He explains that often we get caught up in minor issues and lose sight of the bigger picture. Cumberland suggests asking oneself if a problem will matter in the future, tomorrow, next week, or a year from now, as a way to regain perspective. He uses the analogy of being in a theater, where focusing on tiny details obscures the overall performance. Stepping back, like moving to a balcony seat, allows for a broader, more appreciative view. He encourages letting go of unnecessary stress by ignoring trivial annoyances and accepting that some things simply aren't worth getting upset about. Cumberland then turns to the role of technology in modern life. He acknowledges its potential downsides, frustration, security risks, but ultimately advocates for embracing it. He believes mastering technology is essential for success and a richer life, from running a business to managing a home. He advises approaching new technologies with an open mind, understanding their benefits, and making informed choices about what to adopt, while also prioritizing online safety. The author emphasizes the importance of persistence, arguing that giving up is often the greatest obstacle to success. He suggests that average results come from average effort, while extraordinary achievements require unwavering dedication. Cumberland encourages readers to identify the moment they feel like quitting and to push through it, recognizing that success may be just around the corner. He warns against listening to negativity from others, especially those who may be motivated by jealousy, and urges readers to stay true to their goals. Cumberland also addresses the issue of addiction, defining it broadly as any obsessive behavior that interferes with life. He notes that while traditional addictions like smoking may be declining, technology and other compulsive behaviors are on the rise. He stresses the importance of self-awareness, honestly assessing one's habits and their impact on life. He suggests that moderation may be sufficient for some behaviors, while others require professional help and support groups. Finally, Cumberland champions the benefits of spending time in nature. He cites research showing that proximity to greenery reduces stress and anxiety, and highlights the Japanese practice of forest bathing. He explains that nature provides essential vitamin D, fresh air, and a sense of peace. He suggests incorporating nature into one's life through gardening, vacations, or simply stargazing, emphasizing its ability to promote calm, patience, and a broader perspective. Nigel Cumberland believes that everyone has genius within them, but often people don't realize it because they're being judged on skills they don't have. He uses the example of a fish trying to climb a tree. It's not a fair comparison. People are good at different things, and that's okay. Cumberland explains that our brains have many different abilities, and we don't need to be good at all of them. The important thing is to know what skills we need to succeed in the areas of our lives that matter to us. It's about understanding our strengths and weaknesses and working with them. He stresses that constantly improving our skills, especially those that will help us reach our goals, is a really smart move. The author suggests that we should focus on developing our existing strengths while also working on areas where we're weaker. For example, if you want to be a writer, you should practice writing, but it might also be helpful to improve your memory or research skills. Even skills that don't seem immediately useful, like having a good memory, can be surprisingly helpful. Cumberland also points out that keeping your brain active with challenges like crosswords or chess can help keep it healthy and even slow down age-related mental decline. It's about keeping your mind sharp and engaged. However, Cumberland cautions against showing off. Being intelligent isn't enough on its own. You also need to be able to apply your intelligence in a practical way and get along with people. He calls this being street smart and having emotional intelligence. It's important to be able to understand and manage your own emotions and to relate to others. He strongly advises against making others feel small or unintelligent, even if you think you're smarter. That kind of behavior is arrogant and will likely push people away. Cumberland then shifts the focus to character, quoting Tab Hunter's belief that it's more important to be a good person than to be popular. He observes that in today's world, with social media and the pursuit of likes, people can become obsessed with popularity. But he argues that this kind of popularity is fleeting and doesn't lead to true happiness. He believes that lasting fulfillment comes from developing strong character. He uses the example of reality TV shows, where popularity is often the goal, but questions whether the winners are truly happy or content. The author encourages readers to focus on being popular with themselves, to value and accept who they are. He suggests that we should make choices that support our own well-being, even if those choices aren't popular with others. He gives examples like getting a tattoo, quitting a job to pursue a dream, or simply choosing to stop wearing makeup. He emphasizes that the opinions of others shouldn't dictate our choices. Cumberland also stresses the importance of doing the right thing, even when it's unpopular, and not being afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Cumberland then addresses the issue of toxic people, those who bring negativity, skepticism, or jealousy into our lives. He describes common scenarios, like a colleague who always has to be right or a friend who is always dishonest. He argues that these relationships can be harmful, and that it's important to protect ourselves from negative influences. He encourages readers to wake up to the reality of these toxic relationships and to prioritize their own sanity and well-being. He suggests politely declining invitations or minimizing contact with toxic people. The author then highlights the value of grandparents and the wisdom they can offer. He believes that grandparents can provide a unique perspective on life, having lived through many different experiences. They can also offer unconditional love and acceptance. Cumberland encourages readers to spend time with their grandparents, listen to their stories, and learn from their experiences. He suggests that even if grandparents are no longer alive, we can still connect with other older relatives or family friends. Cumberland emphasizes the importance of having a true character, that you can be proud of a character that is consistent, even when no one is watching. He suggests that we all have flaws, but that we should work on improving them. He recommends self-observation, seeking feedback from trusted friends, and even taking personality assessments. He also suggests helping others to identify their own character flaws. Finally, Cumberland stresses the importance of practicing gratitude. He explains that gratitude is good for our health and well-being, and that it can help us to focus on the positive aspects of our lives. He suggests keeping a gratitude journal and consciously looking for things to be thankful for. He also encourages readers to focus on good news, rather than dwelling on negativity. He believes that a positive mindset is essential for success and happiness. Nigel Cumberland believes genuine success can't be faked, and often people present a false image of how well their lives are going. He observes that many people pretend to be happy, successful, or financially stable, especially with the influence of social media. Cumberland points out it's easy to fool others with appearances, a nice smile, expensive clothes, or fancy vacations, but you can't fool yourself. True success, according to him, means achieving your personal dreams and goals, not just appearing to do so. He's seen clients spend years creating a facade of wealth while secretly struggling with debt, or appearing ambitious while actually disliking their careers. Cumberland warns that buried feelings and ambitions will eventually surface, and not in a pleasant way. He encourages honesty, suggesting it's better to show honest tears than a fake smile, and to let go of the idea that you need to have everything immediately. He advises against living with excessive debt or pretending to be more successful than you are, and emphasizes that success takes time. However, Cumberland does suggest it's okay to fake it until you make it when it comes to attitude and mindset, practicing the behaviors you want to adopt to help change your personality. Cumberland then shifts to the idea that as people age, they worry less about what others think. He quotes Ann Landers, noting that at 20, we're concerned with others' opinions, at 40 we don't care, and by 60 we realize others weren't even thinking about us at all. He believes you're never too old to pursue new goals or dreams, and that true success involves using your freedom to be yourself. As responsibilities like raising children or paying off a mortgage lessen, you have more opportunity to express your authentic self. Cumberland encourages readers to question what's holding them back and to anticipate a time when they won't be constrained by others' expectations. He stresses that life is too short to live according to someone else's standards, and to pursue your passions while you have the energy and health to do so. The author then highlights the importance of breathing, referencing a Sanskrit proverb that states breath is life. Cumberland points out that we rarely think about our breathing, yet it's essential for survival. He explains that breathing patterns change with our emotional state, fast and shallow when stressed, slow and deep when relaxed. He argues that conscious breathing can positively impact both physical and mental well-being, releasing tension, strengthening the heart and immune system, and improving overall body function. He notes that studies have shown deep breathing releases helpful chemicals in the brain and increases oxygen flow. Finally, Cumberland discusses the value of travel, quoting Maya Angelou's belief that travel can foster understanding and friendship between people. He shares his grandfather's idea that travel is the only purchase that truly enriches you. He believes that experiencing different cultures broadens your perspective, increases compassion, and reminds you of your own good fortune. Cumberland encourages readers to travel as much as possible, prioritizing vacations over material possessions, and to immerse themselves in local cultures. He also emphasizes the importance of keeping a journal, suggesting it can strengthen your immune system and help you understand your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. He encourages a variety of journaling styles, including writing, drawing, collecting articles, or using technology. Cumberland concludes by discussing the value of getting lost and then finding yourself again, suggesting that moments of feeling lost are normal and can lead to self-discovery. He advises pausing, asking yourself searching questions, and allowing time for reflection. He also stresses the importance of planning ahead, balancing spontaneity with careful consideration of potential risks and outcomes, and preparing for the unexpected. Nigel Cumberland believes that successful people share some common habits and avoid others. He noticed this while coaching leaders and helping them reach their full potential. One big idea is that successful people focus on experiences rather than possessions. The book highlights a survey showing that many people dream of things like seeing the northern lights or skydiving, not buying a fancy car. Cumberland points out that many of these experiences aren't as expensive as we think and often just require taking the first step, like starting to train for a marathon. He emphasizes that we often prioritize others' dreams over our own, focusing on family and charity, which is admirable, but we also need to make time for ourselves. He uses a quote from The Shawshank Redemption, "Get busy living, or get busy dying," to encourage readers to actively pursue their bucket lists. Cumberland stresses the importance of taking action. He suggests creating a bucket list, sharing it with others for accountability, and even helping others achieve their dreams if you've already accomplished yours. He gives the example of charities that help terminally ill children fulfill their wishes. This shows that success isn't just about personal achievement, but also about giving back. He then shifts the focus to the planet, arguing that true success can't be enjoyed if the environment is suffering. He presents alarming statistics about plastic waste, deforestation, pollution, and extinction rates, emphasizing that inaction is no longer an option. The author encourages readers to live more sustainably, offering practical tips like reducing waste, donating unwanted items, participating in cleanups, and making eco-friendly choices in transportation and energy consumption. Cumberland then moves on to the idea of connecting to something bigger than yourself. He explains that this connection, whether through religion, nature, charity, or political activism, is vital for mental health and happiness. He shares insights from positive psychology, noting that finding a purpose beyond oneself is key to well-being. He suggests asking questions like, "What am I most passionate about?" and "What matters most to me in life?" to discover your purpose. Cumberland highlights the need to constantly learn and unlearn. He points out that knowledge quickly becomes outdated, and the ability to adapt is crucial in the modern world. He uses the analogy of deleting old files from a computer to explain how we need to make space for new information. He encourages readers to question their assumptions and be open to new ideas, even if they contradict what they previously believed. He emphasizes that successful people aren't afraid to admit they were wrong and change their thinking. Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the power of mentorship and leaving a positive legacy. He explains that helping others succeed is a great way to learn and grow yourself. He suggests actively seeking opportunities to mentor others, whether through formal programs or informal guidance. He also encourages readers to ask for feedback from others to understand how they are perceived and what impact they are having on the world. He suggests asking people how they would be remembered if they were to disappear, and what positive or negative qualities come to mind when people think of them. Ultimately, Cumberland believes that a meaningful life is one lived with intention, purpose, and a commitment to making a positive difference. He concludes by sharing the common regrets of dying patients, living a life true to oneself, working too hard, suppressing feelings, losing touch with friends, and not allowing oneself to be happier, and urges readers to avoid these regrets by living fully and authentically. The 10 things successful people never do. Nigel Cumberland believes that successful people live life with their eyes wide open, truly noticing the world around them. Too often, people choose to ignore problems, like someone struggling with homelessness or unfair treatment at work, because it's easier than getting involved. Cumberland explains this isn't necessarily because people are bad, but often due to feeling scared, guilty, or overwhelmed. However, he stresses that successful people don't shy away from these situations. They take action, even if it's difficult, and hold themselves responsible for making a difference. He challenges readers to be more aware and step up to help, practicing courage and understanding in their daily lives. He believes that doing so will not only improve the world, but also make individuals feel better about themselves. Cumberland then shifts focus to avoiding harm, stating it's easier to prevent damage than to fix it. He points out that success isn't just about achieving goals, but also about treating yourself and others with kindness. He describes common harmful behaviors, like self-criticism, belittling others' dreams, stealing ideas, or destroying someone's confidence. He emphasizes the power of words and actions, explaining that even a small negative comment can have a big impact. Cumberland advises readers to be mindful of their own internal dialogue, stopping harsh self-criticism with a deep breath and positive self-talk. He also encourages pausing before speaking to others, avoiding negativity and offering apologies when necessary. He suggests that seeking therapy or life coaching can be helpful for breaking negative patterns. The author then highlights the importance of embracing one's past, even the difficult parts. Cumberland argues that people often try to create a perfect image of themselves, hiding experiences they're ashamed of. However, he believes that denying your past prevents you from truly understanding who you are. He explains that every experience, even failures, contributes to your growth and provides valuable lessons. For example, a difficult childhood might foster empathy, or a failed university attempt could lead to a more fulfilling career path. He encourages readers to be honest with themselves and reflect on their life story, journaling about both positive and negative experiences to gain insights and understanding. Sharing these experiences with trusted friends or a life coach can also be beneficial. Cumberland stresses the value of authenticity, arguing that it's better to struggle being yourself than to succeed pretending to be someone else. He explains that everyone is unique, with a specific combination of traits and experiences. Trying to imitate others is a waste of time and energy. Successful people, he says, accept themselves, flaws and all, and strive to become the best version of themselves. This might involve making difficult choices, like leaving a job you dislike or ending unfulfilling friendships. He acknowledges that this path isn't easy, but it's ultimately more rewarding than living someone else's life. Finally, Cumberland emphasizes the importance of staying true to your core values and vision. He acknowledges that life often throws unexpected challenges, pushing people off course. However, successful people don't abandon their principles. He describes these principles as a North Star, guiding them through difficult times. He encourages readers to clearly define their vision, purpose, and values, and to make daily decisions that align with them. This means prioritizing integrity, passion, and purpose, even when faced with pressure or setbacks. By consistently living according to their values, individuals can navigate life's challenges and stay true to themselves. Nigel Cumberland begins by emphasizing a crucial idea: successful people don't dwell on what they lack. It's easy to explain away setbacks by saying, "If only I had more time," or "If only I had more money." But Cumberland points out that successful individuals focus on making the most of what they do have. They don't waste energy on excuses. Instead, they optimize their resources: time, money, opportunities, even connections, and refuse to let anything go to waste. He illustrates this with relatable examples, like someone wishing they had more time to write a novel or a business struggling due to limited startup funds. The key takeaway is that limitations are a part of life, and success comes from working within those limitations, not complaining about them. Cumberland then encourages readers to adopt a no-waste mindset. This isn't just about recycling, it's about being mindful of all choices. He suggests pausing to reflect before making decisions, ruthlessly eliminating activities that don't add value. This could mean spending less time on unimportant tasks, being careful about purchases, or canceling unused subscriptions. However, Cumberland wisely cautions against blindly following others' ideas of what constitutes waste. What seems unproductive to one person might be essential to another. He stresses the importance of individual judgment and prioritizing what truly matters. The author introduces the concept of opportunity cost, the idea that every choice means giving up something else. Spending an hour on one activity means an hour less for another. Spending money on one item means not being able to spend it on something else. Cumberland urges readers to consider these trade-offs, ensuring their time and money are invested in things that align with their goals and values. It's about making conscious decisions rather than letting life happen randomly. Moving on, Cumberland warns against jumping into things too quickly, using the phrase, "never blindly jump." He explains that in today's fast-paced world, It's easy to make quick decisions buying a car, applying for a job, but these decisions can have lasting consequences. Successful people, he says, learn to pause and reflect, especially when presented with opportunities that seem too good to be true. They ask themselves why they're considering a particular choice, gather all the facts, and even seek expert advice. He emphasizes the value of intuition, suggesting a moment of quiet reflection can reveal underlying anxieties or uncertainties. However, he also acknowledges that sometimes a leap of faith is necessary, particularly in matters of the heart, like falling in love or building friendships. Cumberland then addresses the importance of maintaining faith, even in the face of adversity. He acknowledges that everyone experiences setbacks, betrayal, divorce, loss that can shake their beliefs. However, he argues that true success lies in refusing to let these experiences destroy hope. He uses examples of people overcoming tragedy, losing a loved one, experiencing war, and emphasizes that one negative event doesn't define a life. He suggests seeking support from others' friends, therapists, or spiritual advisors to process difficult emotions and regain a positive outlook. The author then highlights the continuous nature of growth. Cumberland believes that successful people are lifelong learners, constantly seeking ways to improve themselves. He provides a range of examples, from physical activities like running and meditation to intellectual pursuits like reading and networking. He encourages readers to identify areas where they need to grow intellectually, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, or financially, and to actively pursue those areas. He even playfully plugs his own book on financial wealth, demonstrating his commitment to continuous growth. Finally, Cumberland concludes with the powerful message, never say never. He shares inspiring stories of individuals who overcame seemingly impossible obstacles. Michael Jordan being cut from his high school basketball team, Stephen Hawking achieving scientific greatness despite his illness, Nick Vujicic becoming a motivational speaker without limbs, and J.K. Rowling finding success after facing poverty and loss. He urges readers to hold on to their dreams, even when they seem out of reach, and to surround themselves with supportive people who believe in them. He reminds them that great things often take time and effort, and to enjoy the journey along the way. And that brings us to the end of our summary of this book. I hope you found it insightful and valuable. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more. Your support helps us bring you more great content. Thanks for watching.